Hello Marvel fans, and welcome back to Nerd Doc. The first episode of Loki Season 2 has arrived on Disney+, and that means it's time to look at the ending and mid-credit scene, as well as explain one of the new characters, Obi. That means there will be spoilers for Loki Season 2 in this video. This is your spoiler warning. There are chapter timestamps, so you can jump around the video as you wish, and if you have any questions, or just want to give us your thoughts on the first episode of the new season, leave a comment below. The end of episode 1 sees Loki in the relatively near future of his current TVA timeline. Alarms are going off, and the TVA is clearly in danger. Loki approaches an elevator where Sylvie can be seen trying to pry open the doors from the inside, while an old-fashioned telephone rings nearby. It's at this point that Loki is attacked from behind by a mysterious figure with a TVA timestick. Luckily, this is exactly what Loki needed to happen so that he could return to his own time and stop the time slipping that's been happening to him all episode. Since Sylvie killed He Who Remains at the end of Season 1 and sent Loki to an alternate timeline, he's been time slipping, which is jumping backward and forward in time, which was a little problematic. Obi, the resident tech guru at the TVA, more on him in a bit, advised that Loki would need to quote-unquote die via TVA timestick at the right moment so that Mobius could pull him out of the time stream and back into the proper reality before Loki hits limbo, kind of like what happened in the first season. If Loki had taken too long, Mobius would have died due to having to stand in the immense radiation generated by the time stream and the time loom, the device that keeps all the various timelines in order. The gamble was a success, with both Loki and Mobius being saved. Now, if you haven't already guessed, the person who stabbed Loki in the future was in fact Loki. However, it was the Loki from that future timeline. Depending on your point of view, this can be considered a paradox, since future Loki would not exist if he didn't kill his past self, but his past self only survives because future Loki killed him. Anyway, the important thing is that the phone ringing next to him doesn't really have much significance other than to make the scene more dramatic. The person on the other end of the phone is Obi, who's just calling to check in on Loki. Moving on to the mid-credit scene, this sees Sylvie arriving in Broxton, Oklahoma in 1982. She enters a McDonald's and decides to get a job there. First off, this is showing that Sylvie is alive and well. Now, she decides to get a job at McDonald's because shortly after she enters the restaurant, she realizes that everyone there looks happy and carefree. Now that Sylvie has killed He Who Remains, she can relax, and this is a perfect place for her to do that. Here in this timeline, she'll be somewhat hidden from the TVA, and while she does still want to kill Ravonna Renslayer, it's not as much of a priority as killing He Who Remains was last season. Sylvie is content to live out her days in peace hidden in this timeline and working at McDonald's. Of course, this is a Marvel show, so that obviously isn't going to happen, but remember that Sylvie isn't genuinely evil. She was abused by the TVA and took her revenge. Perhaps now it's time for her redemption arc? By now, you may be wondering, who is Ke Huy Quan playing? The Oscar-winning actor is playing a brand new Marvel character known as Ouroboros, or Obi for short. Obi works in the Repairs and Advancement Division of the TVA, which is located in the basement. He's also the person who wrote the official TVA handbook that explains everything about the functionality of the TVA, and is also directly connected to Kang and his variants. Throughout Season 2, Obi is essentially the voice of reason, explaining what can and can't be done, and how to fix any problems that may arise from the actions of Loki and Mobius. While there have been Marvel comic book characters named Ouroboros, with one even having a clone directly connected to the TVA, the MCU version is not related to any of these comic book characters. Given how the TVA is rumored to have very close ties to Deadpool 3 and Avengers Secret Wars, there's at least a decent chance that Obi will show up again, assuming he survives Loki Season 2. So what did you think of the first episode of Loki Season 2? Is it better or worse than the first season? Do you think the MCU is finally returning to form? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. For now, that wraps up this video. Thank you for watching. We'll have more videos on Loki Season 2 over the next few weeks as the episodes release on Disney+. So be sure to like, subscribe, and share with someone who loves Marvel and Loki.